drive to right field. This ball is gone. Gone and into the history books.
The Seattle Mariners, Felix Hernandez, the 2-2. He got it! 34 years, 119 games. It's finally happened. A perfect game by a Seattle Mariner. It was done by the King.
And the 0-1 pitch on the way to Edgar Martinez. Swung on and line down the left field line for a base hit. Here comes Joy. Here is Junior to third base. They're going to wave him in. The throw to the plate will be late. The Mariners are going to play for the American League Championship. I don't believe it. It just continues. My, oh my. And they are going crazy at the Kingdom.
Welcome to the Corner of Edgar and Dave, your Seattle Mariners baseball fan podcast. I'm Jacob, here with my brother Nick, and we are back to talk baseball. Another week of Mariners baseball, possibly the best week or week and a half of Mariners baseball that we've seen in quite a long time. Nick, what do you think? Here's the thing.
I don't know. When was the last time we did a podcast? Because we already have that Rays week go through, because that was probably the best week we've had all season.
Yeah, so that was right after. The last time we potted was the 4 days. It was right after the Rays podcast, or right after the Rays series was the last time we podcasted. So the thing is we were not that optimistic in that podcast. I think part of it because we were dealing with a lot of injuries and Kellenic had been sent down. It wasn't like the hype podcast that I was hoping it would be. I'm feeling a lot more optimistic. And the thing is that we came off the Rays series. We were already playing good baseball coming into this week, and we just continued it. I think the fact of the matter is I saw a stat that we've won or tied our last 6 or 7 series.
Yeah, we haven't.
Let's see. Yeah, the last one, we've 2-1 against the Twins, 4-0 against the Rays, 1-1 against the Rockies, 2-1 against the White Sox, 2-1 against the Blue Jays, 2-1 against the Rangers. So, 6 series in a row that we haven't lost. Last series we lost was against the Indians. Pretty high.
Now we get to face the third place Yankees? Ooh, easy week, huh?
Honestly, okay, you just want to get right into that? I'm pretty scared of the Yankees.
Oh, of course, I'm joking.
I feel like it's one of those things.
Really good.
Yeah, right. They're. I feel like it's one of those things where the Mariners are playing well, so they're at an all-time high for the season. And Yankees fans are doing nothing but complaining about how bad the Yankees are. So it's one of those things where I feel like we're going to get swept by the Yankees. I don't want it to happen. Currently, the first game of the series is going on right now. Justice Sheffield gave up a 3-run home run to Giancarlo Stanton in the first inning. So we're down 3-0. Could be more by now. I'm not sure.
It happens, I guess.
Yeah, it happens for sure. This is one of those series that I just feel so intimidated by because supposedly, the Yankees are doing bad. Okay, yeah, the Yankees just got another run. The Yankees are in quote-unquote, doing poorly, even though they're a team that's over 500, right? They're underperforming for themselves. And the Mariners are, an all-time high. Just feels like one of those, you get beat back kind of things.
I mean, let's put it like this. Going into the year, we had them as, our first or second best team for our power ranking. And I don't really think of them any differently. They're still the New York Yankees. Just because they have a pretty bad win rate doesn't mean that they're going to continue to have
the thing is that they're winning more often than they're losing. So, how bad is it, right? It's not like they're an under 500 team.
It's not even that they're bad. It's not even that they're playing bad. It's just that the Red Sox and the Rays were playing out of their mind for a little bit. The Rays are kind of cooling down. The Red Sox are still doing Red Sox things.
Well, the Red Sox are cooling down. The Red Sox keep winning, but they've been cooling down statistically. Literally, their pitching was just out of its mind the first month of the season, and they've just kind of been, so-so, but they held on to that. I mean, what did they start, 27-11 or something? Something crazy. They started off crazy hot, right? And their pitching was just out of its mind, but now it's kind of everything's come back down to earth, but they're still winning games.
And if
we'll see.
If we look into the AL West a little bit, the Oakland is doing the same. They're not playing that crazy baseball that they were used to before. I'm pretty sure Houston actually has overtaken them for the...
Yeah, they have. Dude, the Houston Astros frustrate me so much. I mean, we're 11-4 over our last 15 games, and I don't think we've gained a single We've gained like maybe 1 or 2 games on the Astros.
No, yeah, because they went on like a 12-game win streak or something. Like they were just playing out of their minds.
It's like we're playing so well, but we cannot gain on these guys. It's so frustrating. Oh my god, it's so frustrating.
To be honest with you, I don't really plan on catching the Houston Astros. I think if the Mariners have a chance of making the playoffs, which is unreasonable to think that they do, it will be a wild spot, like for sure.
Yeah, they definitely have a shot at the wild card. It's just one of those things that you'd like wish you'd kind of close the gap a little bit. Like, how come they couldn't play 500 ball while we're playing, 600 ball or whatever?
Well,
happens.
On a positive note, at least we get to play 9 games against Texas, the Houston. That's not right. Texas Rangers. What the fuck am I saying? The Texas Rangers.
I don't know what you're saying.
9 games.
Do we? It looks like I'm looking at our schedule for this month. We have 3 against the Yankees, 3 against the Angels, 3 against the Angels, 6 against the Angels. We don't play Texas again until the end of the month.
Yeah, but still.
We do have an Astros series in there.
So there is reason to be positive with the Seattle Mariners, because I don't know if you saw it on the baseball subreddit, I think it was, or maybe it was the Mariners subreddit, but someone was talking about the schedules for the rest of the season. The Mariners actually have statistically the 2nd or 3rd easiest rest of the season.
I did see that. We have the third easiest schedule in baseball the rest of the way.
So obviously there's reasons to be positive, right? Like we could kind of walk into a playoff appearance.
For sure. I'm looking at it. Yeah, we still have a series against the Royals. I mean, we have all the series against Texas. Okay, I see. So over the next month and a half, we have 3 series against the Rangers. Right. So that's where you got that from. Yeah, so we play the Rangers a bunch more. We play the A's a bunch more. Not the A's. We play the Angels a bunch more. We have 2 series against the Diamondbacks coming up in September. We have a series against Kansas City coming up. Yeah, and then a bunch against the bottom half of our league. So that's of our division. And only 2 series against the Astros?
Nah, I see 3. There's 1 in August, 1 in July, and then 1 in September.
Oh, 1 in September. Yep, 3 series. Okay, cool.
And that is going to be the toughest part of the rest of our schedule for this season. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Just slightly.
I do think it's getting close to our mid-season team rankings. Do we want to do that again, or do we just want to do it at the end of the year?
No, I want to do it. I was thinking we would do it at the end of the month after the trade deadline.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's something to look forward to. Or we could do it next week during the All-Star break. That might actually be the best time to do it. Is during the All-Star break when we have,
Yeah, that is generally like the halfway point of the year, right? Obviously,
yeah, so that'll be our mid-year tier rankings. Something to look forward to for next week is we'll do our mid-year tier rankings next week. Is what I'm thinking.
Cool. Okay.
We do got to get into our staple, the best thing you saw and the worst thing you saw. I've got my 2. I was telling you before we started this podcast, there's a lot of best things that you saw, and I've got my 1, but we're going to get into pretty much everything that I want to talk about in news because a lot of it does fall in. But again, this was a really great week for the Mariners, and there's a lot of stuff to cover on the best things that we saw. But do you have one best thing that you saw, or do you want me to start?
There's a lot of really good things. Off the top of my head, the one that gets to me the quickest is just Jake Fraley. Like, everything he's done has just been phenomenal, and it's what we've been looking forward to seeing for him since the end of 2019 when he first came up. Like, he's finally getting his first opportunity to really shine with the Mariners, and he looks fucking great. I'm not just talking about his hair.
And that's a good call, too, because he did have a walk-off this week.
Exactly. Set
up by questionable Mariners defensive play from Ty France, but a walk-off nonetheless.
A walk-off's a walk-off, and it's just the Mariners doing what Mariners do this year, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, what is it? We're 10-1 in extra innings.
I believe so.
We have like 7 walk-offs or something like that.
Walk-off.
What's that?
With the Jake Fraley walk-off, it might actually be 11.
Yeah, and then we have I think we have like 7 or 8 walk-offs too. And we've taken the lead during our last at bat in like I want to say it's like 19 games or something crazy. It's absolutely absurd. That's pretty good. Okay, Jake Fraley, best thing you saw, kind of comma his walk off, but really all those walks, just the walk monster Jake Fraley. Do you have a worst thing? A worst thing that you saw?
You're gonna dislike this, but probably Marco's last outing.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, we definitely need to talk about that. But that was so hard to watch. It's one of those things where it's just like, I mean, Marco is such a good guy, and he's just coming off like a monumental life moment, and you are, unfortunately, because
what's his monumental life moment as just his child.
Yeah, he just had his first kid.
I didn't know that just happened. For some reason, I was thinking that happened during the off season.
No, so yeah, him and his wife, they just had the kid. He was gone for like 2 or 3 weeks on paternity leave, missed a couple starts. This was his first start back from his paternity leave, and I wanted to believe in my heart that it would be magical, but my Mariners brain told me that it was going to be a disaster, and sure enough, it was a disaster. I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like, he's already been injured this year, missed a bunch of baseball, and then he goes and has to get rusty again because he's doing all sorts of other stuff and everything that comes with having a kid for the first time. I mean, obviously, neither of us completely know what that's about, but
yeah,
like, we can assume that, and it was one of those things where I had a feeling that Marco was gonna get bit. It's one of those things where it's just like, I wish. I love Marco, but he's just not one of those guys that it comes and makes him stronger. You know how it was like when after Mike Trout had his first child and he came back and hit like a home run for like 3 games straight.
Yeah,
like I love Marco, but Marco's just not like that, right? He's just someone that's he's had to work for everything that he's got.
Yeah, he's a grinder.
Yeah, he's a grinder. He's not, and Mike Trout, not saying Mike Trout doesn't work hard or other people that are gifted don't work hard, right? But like Marco to me is like the ultimate grinder, someone who, you wouldn't say has the best stuff, he doesn't light up the radar gun or anything like that, but he just is one of the best guys we have at getting outs, and he does it by grinding people down and putting the ball in the right location. And because of that, when he's not sharp, guys hit him off a tee, even guys like Texas, which, to speak of this Texas team, I was actually kind of impressed by their lineup. Like, I don't think this Texas team is actually as bad as their record says.
I do. When you look at what's going on, and realistically, they're a rebuilding team. Let's not pretend they're a playoff push team like MLB wants you to think.
The Rangers? People...
Yeah, are you kidding me? Like, how they went after Kluber and everything last year? Like, obviously, for reasons I'm not really up to them, right? But, so they're a rebuilding team, and the only future that I really see, or the really, like, future star players I see on that current team is not Jorge Soler. What is his name?
Adolis Garcia. Here's the thing. They have more All-Stars than we do.
I mean, sorta. I mean...
What do you mean, sorta?
I mean...
That's just straight facts.
Oh, actual All-Stars. Who's all their All-Stars?
This year, they have 2 All-Stars. They had Adolis Garcia, who I think is actually a starter in the All-Star game. Probably? And Joey Gallo, yes.
Yeah, well, Joey Gallo is going to be there every time just because he hits the ball really hard.
That's true. But still...
just having a fantastic year. But like I said, so Adolis Garcia is really like the only like standout player on their roster next to oh wait, no, they have like one of the best pitchers in the league right now too, don't they? What's his name?
Well, they have one that's Kyle Gibson. He's been like mentioned in trade. He's like one of the trade targets people have mentioned. And he's been pretty good. He honestly
he's been really, really good. And so there's been talks about how he currently has like the lowest ERA in baseball, or he did a couple days ago, right? And I don't see it. Like, I look at Kyle Gibson, and I don't think his stuff is really that good. I just think he's getting really, really good results. I think he's just playing over his weight. Right?
Yeah, I think he does have like a low 2 ERA or something like that.
I think it's lower than that. I'm pretty sure he's like.
I think the Mariners got to him though this last game, didn't they?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure they only gave up like 1 or 2 against them. Because I was like, it was in the 8th, and he was still out there, or he was in the 6th.
Was it? Was that the game we lost against Marco?
Give me a second. I'll look it up.
Okay. How about it? I wanna look him up too. Pitching. Come on, pitching, baby. Let's see. Yeah, Kyle Gibson. Oh yeah, 1.98. Yeah, sure enough.
He's incredible.
He has the third.
Stats, right?
He's got the 3rd best ERA behind Jacob deGrom and Kevin Gausman.
Yeah.
Wow. So he's got the best ERA in the American League, which is typically the harder league.
I thought it was Guzman.
Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know.
I
don't know.
I don't watch this team.
Yeah. The San Francisco Giants? I don't know shit about the San Francisco Giants. What do you want from me? This isn't a San Francisco Giants podcast. I don't know what you want from me.
Fuck, where was that? Man, they're really throwing me around today.
I wish I could find his last game. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. Yeah, he used to be a Twin. That's right. Okay.
Okay, but like realistically, so you said that they currently have more All-Stars than the Seattle Mariners, and that's bullshit, dude. That's fucking fan votes.
I'm assuming Kyle Gibson's an All-Star too.
I would assume so, yeah.
So they have 3 All-Stars? So. Here's the thing, though. Are any of the people that they have as All-Stars undeserving?
No, but like, do they realistically have futures with the team? Like the only ones that could, they're probably gonna lock Joey up. I don't see them getting rid of Joey Gallo, and they're probably gonna keep Adolis Garcia around, considering how well he's been performing this year. But Kyle Gibson's like 30, like 31. Like, do you really think
trading
he's gonna go into free agency?
Sure.
But if they don't trade him, he's gonna go into free agency and like not come back to the fucking Texas? That's just not happening.
Probably not. Probably not. I mean, it's still an All-Star is an All-Star. I don't know what to tell you, but I get your point.
Of course,
let's go. My best thing I saw this week, dude. I got emotional hearing the full crowd at Safeco Field, and then in like the 8th or 7th inning, whatever it was, when the entire packed Safeco Field was chanting J.P. Crawford's name, they were just chanting J.P. 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 I haven't. Oh, really? I have not. That was at the grand reopening, the first game against Texas, and fucking J.P. The absolute man, the person that I am calling the king of Seattle. The Seattle has been missing their king for 2 years now. JP is now the new king of freaking Seattle. You know, Russell Wilson, who, Felix Hernandez, who, whatever. Dude, JP Crawford's the king of Seattle. The entire stadium is chanting his name. And what does he do? He freaking gets an RBI. He gets an RBI single and drives in the game-tying run in that first game against the Rangers. I think it was the game-tying run to make it 4-4.
That is a pretty great moment.
It was so good.
But to be honest, if Kyle Lewis was still in the lineup, the crowds would be going absolutely fucking wild for him.
They would be going wild for him. What was it? I want to find what inning. Maybe he wasn't that inning.
I think it's really, really unfortunate.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a 2-out RBI too. It was a 2-out RBI.
Obviously, J.P. Crawford's like.
Where was it? Yeah, no, it was to tie the game. J.P. Crawford singles on a sharp ground ball to left field. Jake Fraley scores. I mean, it was freaking legendary. Oh my god, I'm still getting goosebumps like thinking about it. Like, dude, J.P. Crawford is the king of Seattle. Did I say New York earlier?
No,
I don't know why.
Seattle.
Oh, did I say Seattle? I don't know. Okay, dude, he's the king of Seattle. I love J.P. Crawford right now, and just to kind of get into it, to something that I put on the news for later. JP is tearing it up on Twitter too. I don't know if you've seen this at all, but he literally, all he did after that first game, when he like manned up, had a huge freaking game, and tied that game up in the bottom of the 8th inning, he gets on Twitter and all he does is just gush about how much he loves Seattle, how much he loves the fans, how electric the atmosphere was in T-Mobile Park. And literally someone tweeted out, like, I need JP in a Mariners jersey for life.
Yeah, and he was like,
and all he tweeted was, me too. Legend. Freaking legend, man. I'm so glad that JP Crawford is just, like, coming into his own. And, again, seeing the stadium chant his name like that was just, like, it felt so good. It felt like something we haven't seen in at least since Felix left, right?
It's definitely reassuring for the Mariners' future, especially after the off-season we had and how negative we were, and we were talking about how, like, nobody's going to want to stay in Seattle. Are you kidding me? Like, after all this?
Yeah.
So to see JP, like, actively be like, yep, extend me. Like, let's fucking do it. Let's make this happen.
I'll be here. Cool. I'll be here forever if you want me here forever. Yeah, it was, God, it was so awesome. And then the worst thing I saw, honestly, there's nothing too negative I saw from the Mariners. So I'm gonna like abstain from saying a worst thing I saw for the Mariners. The worst thing I did see this week though is that we went and saw Fast and the Furious 9 last night.
Yeah, it's bad.
Rough.
Yeah,
I know you saw it. What did you think?
I'm gonna say it's the loudest movie I've ever heard.
You just haven't watched Tenet in theaters, which I know that.
And 2, it was fucking god awful. I will say I don't know if this
so
was
bad.
intentional, but it was like the fastest movie or like the fastest plot I've ever seen, and I don't know if that's just was intentional because
Dude, it's because there was no plot.
Or because there was no plot. Exactly.
There was no plot. I mean, God bless Gabby. I love her so much. But we got out of the theater, and she's like, 10 out of 10. I loved it. But she just loves Fast and Furious, right? Anything Fast and Furious, she's absolutely obsessed with. And, like, there's been some good Fast and Furious movies. I would consider, for nostalgia reasons, I love Fast and Furious 3, Tokyo Drift. I love Fast and Furious 5 is just great. We actually went and saw Fast and Furious 5 in theaters last week, and I'd never seen it in theaters before. It was awesome. Loved Fast and Furious 5. And then I would also consider 7 really... Yeah, 5 is the one where they're in Brazil. Yeah. And it's the first one The Rock is in, and it's the one where they rob that one super rich guy and... Yeah. Like and steal the safe and are like dragging the safe down around the streets. Yeah. They like pull the safe out of the building. And then number 7, the first one with Jason Statham, I consider really good. This one is a big. Oh no, yeah, that one is the one with Jason Statham. This one's a big step back. Honestly, because.
Have you seen the Vin Diesel memes?
Yes. Are those real or are those like guerrilla marketing?
I think those are real memes. I think they're really, really fucking funny, too, because it just kind of shows how shitty the plot is. And we've been watching these Fast and Furious movies for, like, 20 years now.
I mean, here's the thing.
Family this, family that, family this, family
that.
If
there's one thing I do love about the Fast and Furious, it's, like, the family aspect. Like, I actually, like, enjoy that part of it. To me, it's one of the more, like, earnest parts of the movie, which I actually like. But, I mean, this one was just so bad. There was no plot. I mean, there's a whole subplot about the invincibility thing, which I think was kind of, like, pretty tongue-in-cheek, being like, yeah, we know that our concepts are BS. Like, love us anyways. But, the whole plot, well, first off, with the, like, MacGuffin that, like, allows you to hack and control everything, that was already a thing in Fast and Furious 7. The whole reason Nathalie Emmanuel is in this series... The chick that plays who does she play for them? The hacker girl that's with Ludacris is because in Fast and Furious 7 she created a thing called God's Eye that lets you hack everything. That's what they already did. Like, that's the exact same thing that was in this movie. It was a little like globe thing that you put together and you get to hack everything.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I've only seen Fast 5 and Fast 9. I've never seen any other.
So basically, this movie Fast 9. And I love John Cena, so that was a great thing. This movie needed way more John Cena.
Dude, I did really like John Cena, but I will say I have an incredibly hard time believing that John Cena and Vin Diesel could be brothers.
I don't care about that. And they did like the whole thing where like Charlize Theron, when she was in the glass box, she's all like, you don't look anything like Don. It's just like, I know that the Torettos are mixed breeded, but I didn't expect the Nordic chin or something like that. I was just like, what? Really I was just like, what is this movie?
That was definitely a really,
I was like, here's the thing.
Really cringe moment.
Here's the thing. I accepted it. I wish they would have just said nothing, because I was perfectly fine accepting that they were brothers. I was willing to accept it, right? But this movie, to me, needed a lot more John Cena. It especially needed a lot more John Cena fighting. There was not enough of, like, John Cena doing, like, the hand-to-hand combat type stuff.
Yeah, which is really strange, because obviously he's a fucking wrestler.
He's so good, too. I've actually recently, this last, like, 2 or 3 weeks, gotten really into watching, like, old WWE matches on...
That's funny.
On YouTube, and, like, John Cena is really freaking good. I actually, like, really... And he's just so athletic and huge. It's just like, I just wish they needed a lot more John Cena in this movie. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is they needed a complete like plot overhaul. It was just the idea of like having to collect these like little half globe things, and that they were like trying to like hack a satellite to control the world. It was just so like, I don't really like want to sound pretentious, but it was like, I can't think of another word besides being like derivative and like uninspired. It was so bland of like a
No,
plot.
man, I totally agree with you. I honestly just think it was pretty non-existent. I do totally agree with you, and I will say, like, obviously we didn't really watch WWE as a kids at all.
No,
It
yeah.
wasn't something our family did.
Yeah.
But one of my buddies that I play League with all the time is really into WWE, and so I've been watching we've been watching a lot of the more modern stuff with him,
Okay.
and it's fucking hilarious. I fucking love it, and
I love it too.
Seen John Cena's fighting.
I love it too, dude. Just go back and watch like YouTube videos because like over the last like year, the WWE has like put up a ton of their old back catalog on like YouTube.
Yeah.
And so I've just been like watching it like crazy. I love it. I love it so much that I've actually started watching like weekly, like Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown
so
weekly.
Funny.
Like I am into wrestling, and the thing is too is it's just like you said. Here's the thing: these guys are super athletic. The guys and girls. The girls are good too. Like actually, my favorite wrestler is Ronda Rousey of all the people I've seen. Like these people are legit athletic and athletes. And the thing is that the only thing that's really staged. I mean, they like fake hitting each other. The only thing that's staged is like the result. Other than that, they're like actually hitting each other and bruising each other and like and it's freaking athletic. Some of the things that these guys can do is just like so good. And I think part of it too is I told Gabby this, and I think I convinced Gabby that actually what makes wrestling so good is that it's fake. Because a lot of their like really cool moves you would not be able to do if someone was actually trying to resist you.
Right.
Like, you know, John Cena would not be able to do the 5-knuckle shuffle or the attitude adjustment if someone was actually fighting him.
It's just redneck anime, and redneck anime is awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good way of putting it. Redneck anime. I love it though. I've been so this digresses from our Fast and Furious WWE talk. That's a podcast for another day.
I gotta say, I have to put this in here because you know me. I love a good villain. I'll be honest, I know people fucking hate him, but I really like Roman Reigns.
Oh, yeah. No, Roman Reigns is okay. He's cool. I like Roman Reigns.
I think he's fucking sick, and I really like to watch... I like basically watching him, like, pretend to murder people. I will say, though, that I really fucking hate the gory shit. Like, I know most of that shit's, like, fake blood, right? But I fucking hate the gory shit. I hate when they're, like, death matches and they throw each other into like fucking TNT or barbed wire and shit. It's like fucking stop.
Stop. Yeah.
Just punch each other. You don't gotta fucking rip each other in half.
Like, I will say this, I like when they like take out the like crowbars and hit each other. Crowbars are like sledgehammers or like the kendo sticks or whatever they're called. I don't know. Yeah. I love it. I can't wait. I'm actually really excited for the Money in the Bank ladder match pay-per-view. I'm actually going to get Peacock Premium so I can watch that. Not this weekend, but it's the weekend of the Sunday the 18th. I'm actually really super excited. Funny. Super excited to watch my first WWE pay-per-view live.
That's funny.
Pumped.
You know, I'm also going to be watching it because, like I said, my buddy watches basically all wrestling live. Like, basically every single day he watches some form of wrestling somewhere.
Okay.
And I think it's fucking hilarious, so we watch it with him all the time.
Yeah, I love it. It's dope. Yeah, back to the Mariners. So that was the worst thing I saw Fast and the Furious. We can get into news, and we kind of like talked around it a little bit, but I think the biggest first piece of news is Kikuchi going to the All-Star game.
Yep.
I'm going to say, I hate to do this to you, Nick, but there's one person on this podcast. There's one person on this podcast who is incredibly pro Kikuchi, and then there's another person on this podcast that is incredibly anti Kikuchi, and has been that way for 3 years.
Nah, shut the fuck up. So we've talked about this a lot. We've talked about Kikuchi a lot, and as I've always fucking said, as soon as he turns it around, I'm gonna be super pro Kikuchi. And this whole year, he's been really fucking consistent. He's been really fucking good. And I mean,
he's just been a stud.
Now. Yeah, he's been a fucking stud for sure.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm sure. Do you see the video that the Seattle Mariners put out on Twitter of Scott Service like telling him that he's the All-Star and then like everyone hugging him?
Yeah, dude. I'll be honest with you. I do think this might be a bad take. This might be a hot take for the Mariners fan podcast. And I don't like saying this word a lot, but I think it's pretty cringe. I think a lot of the Mariners content is kind of cringe. Like I felt like a lot of that.
Oh, really? People have been loving the Mariners social media content.
I know they do. I know.
They've been like,
I think it's a bad take.
They've been like hard on the pop culture, and Mariners fans have been into it.
No, I like that stuff. But when like they try to like. It just seems like a lot of the people's reactions. It was almost like, well, everyone else is doing it, so I have to give him a hug. Like I didn't
Okay,
feel like
I
they
can
really
see that.
fucking love that guy.
I can see that. The person, though, if you watched far enough into the video, Tom Murphy gave Yusei the most genuine, loving hug I think I've ever seen a man give another man.
Yeah, it's fucking dude. Like I fucking.
It was
said,
so honestly.
awesome.
Honestly, it made me so happy to see, like, Tom Murphy's a psycho, right?
Yeah.
So to see someone as psychotic as Tom Murphy just, like, embrace Yusei like it was his own child, and I think they're, like, the same age, but I think Tom Murphy just is, like, the father figure of the clubhouse, right? And to see him just, like, embrace Yusei and just give him a nice, long hug was awesome. And then another one of the good hugs was, you're right, a lot of them were just kind of like people just like hugging a guy, being like, oh, congratulations, whatever, blah blah blah, right? But Kyle Seager also had a good genuine moment in that video. So like I get what you're saying, that it was cringe, but I think the video was like worth it in the grand scheme of things.
Of course.
Because
I agree.
Because there was a couple like good, actually like genuine sweet hugs, genuine and sweet reactions. Like again, like Kyle Seager being like the father figure of the clubhouse type thing, like, you know, totally like embracing and giving Yusei a good hug, and then obviously Tom Murphy's hug was just like awesome. So I don't know, I liked the video. I was into it.
I love it, and I'm really happy Yusei is an all-star, but I do think it's a little fucking scammy that JP didn't make the roster, because he is our MVP, but because there's so many good shortstops. And he hasn't played any like second or third base at all, he doesn't get to go to the All-Star game just because the Mariners are
it's like, so what do you think about the snubs? So obviously the biggest snub I think is Crawford, but it comes down to like I don't know, like maybe the All-Star game needs some sort of revamp to make sure that we actually get like the best players in. But like realistically, I get why he missed it, right? I get why he missed it,
but there's something to be said about the best defender in the in all of baseball not going to the All-Star game.
Well, and it's not like
hitting out of his mind. So
yes, that's what I was gonna say.
Like 285, 290, and he's the best defender in all of baseball, and he doesn't get to go to the All-Star game just because there's just better hitters.
Yeah, it's
and the
not.
Mariners are a small market team. Like, it's just so dumb.
Let's see. I'm trying to see who's the other middle infielders, because obviously the shortstops. So like, here's the thing. I get it in the sense that the shortstops that were chosen are really good, and here's the thing. And I'm sure JP knows this. He plays at the most stacked position. Yeah, he plays at the most stacked position in baseball right now, because there's Xander Bogaerts, who was obviously the starter. Then Bo Bichette, who's having a great year. Carlos Correa is a cheater, but he's having a great year. And so
Correa. Oh no, it's Marcus Semien at second base.
I'm talking about at shortstop. Yeah, Xander's at shortstop, and then Bo Bichette and Carlos Correa. And then at second base, the other middle infielders, it's Marcus Semien, who is a starter. And I will say this: I hate the Blue Jays, or at least I hate all the Blue Jays fans that come to Seattle whenever they play here.
Right,
but
of course.
I respect their fans for like showing up for their players.
Yeah.
And I realize that they obviously have the biggest fan base in baseball just because they have literally an entire country behind their back.
Yeah.
But the fact that they got themselves 3 starters, and like these are legit starters, like Vlad Jr. starter, Marcus Semien starter, Hernandez, I don't know how to pronounce his first name, Teoscar
Hernandez.
Teoscar. Oh, that makes sense. Teoscar Hernandez. Like, these are 3 legit guys. Like, they very much deserve to be all-stars. And then the guys that they got in the reserves, I think, is it just Bo Bichette? Yeah. And do they have any pitchers?
I will say,
No.
And I know Bo Bichette's having a pretty good year, but JP's just having a better one. There's absolutely no reason for JP to not at least be the reserve shortstop instead of Bo Bichette or Carlos Correa. Carlos Correa is also having a really fucking good year, too. But come on, it's literally the primo player on our team who's fucking having a breakout year.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's one of those things, and I will say it's disappointing from that perspective, because it would have been the icing on the cake to give J.P. Crawford, who is, like you said, having a breakout year, to get him that first All-Star game. That would have been the icing on the cake, right? Hopefully it just keeps him hungry, and he's just like, well, screw this, I'm just going to go get like the silver. I'm just going to get the Silver Slugger.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm going to have to play better. He's like, I'm already playing great. I'm an all-star. Because here's the thing. I think even JP knows this too. He is an all-star level player.
Playing on a mid-tier team.
Yeah, he just doesn't have an all-star yet, right?
Team.
He's an all-star level player, and he just got beat out by, honestly, 3 of the most popular franchises, and these are legit good players. Like, the thing is that one thing we can't say is that none of these 3 guys that got it are undeserving of being an all-star. Like, they're all very much deserving of being all-stars, right? But the fact of the matter is, look at the teams they play for. Toronto, Boston, and Houston. 3 of the biggest teams in baseball. So it's like one of those things that's like, yeah, I mean, honestly, like, Mariners fans need to show up. And one thing I will say about this that kind of hurt J.P. Crawford that we're forgetting because he is so hot right now that he didn't start the season that hot.
Yeah,
right?
it really slow.
Yeah, like these 3 guys, the 3 guys that made it are guys that have been consistent all year long, right? But honestly, in my opinion, and I think your opinion, JP's the best shortstop right now. So I don't know,
I mean, so to me, shortstop is the most defensive, like, premier defensive position in the game.
Yeah, along with center fielder.
He is literally, well, of course, but he is literally just the best infielder in all of baseball defensively.
Yeah, I would agree.
Not having the
and the metrics show that.
Yeah, exactly, and not having the statistically and I want to say like flashy, like not having that guy fucking at the All-Star game and literally just having it be like a bat contest is really fucking dumb.
I just want to know, did they get rid of, because they used to do this thing, like once they announced all the players, they would have kind of like a last chance voting, right? Where it didn't matter on the position that the player played, but like nationally they would just have whoever got the highest remaining votes out of all positions was able to get in. Because I know like for a long time, like teams used to like trade where like they would be like, I remember like Kansas City and Atlanta used to like trade and they would be like, they'd tell their fans like, you know, we're all going to vote for our guy and vote for their guy. And then the other team would say, we're going to vote for our guy and then also vote for their guy in like opposite leagues, right? They must have done away. I didn't actually look it up, which is, you know, I definitely could have done that. They must have done away with like that last chance voting type thing because I feel like J.P. Crawford would have been a good candidate for that.
I don't know about that, but I did know there was like a alliance thing between San Diego and the Blue Jays to get all of their players in. So
was there?
San Diego really wanted like Manny Machado and Francisco Tatis to get in there. And
yeah.
The Blue Jays just wanted all of their whole roster to just be in the fucking All-Star game.
They didn't get Manny Machado though, did they? I think San Diego only got Fernando Tatis and then Jake Cronenworth.
Yeah, I believe so.
Unless they got a pitcher in. I never know about the pitchers. Oh yeah, they got their closer.
Yu Darvish.
Oh yeah, Yu Darvish, and they got the closer, Mark McClellan.
Oh, yeah. Yep, look at that.
Yeah, I never know about the pitchers just because like you don't vote for them, right? It's one of those things like I never
get that. Why do you not vote for pitchers?
I think just because it'd be too janky.
Would it? Like, do you think everybody wouldn't have voted for fucking what's his name? Jacob DeGrom? Yes, everyone would have voted for Jacob DeGrom, but like I don't know, like how do you do that? Because the thing is that they select so many pitchers, so I just don't know how you handle that. Plus, I think the reason they do it too is so they can give teams like look at Miami for example, one of their starters, and like every team has to have someone, right? So like Miami got Trevor. Right, it's like if you don't have someone on the voting, then you just send a pitcher, which is
and honestly, that's exactly what happened to the Mariners, right? It happened to Miami with their rookie Trevor Rogers, who was like a legit rookie of the year guy. Like he's not a chump, right? But you I think what they do is that it makes it available, so you can just take like a good pitcher. A pitcher is having a good year and just like throw him in if you need to like fit someone in, right?
Doesn't that feel like a fucking cop out?
Yeah, but I think you have to have someone from every team. Well, you don't have to, but like baseball has decided that you have to have someone from every team in the division in the league, right? So
right, and I get that, but by that logic, shouldn't it be the best player on the team? That's all I'm saying, really. Is that like it be the best player on the team? So shouldn't it have been J.P. Crawford instead of Bo Bichette, the Blue Jays' 5th player that they got to bring? Like they're already bringing fucking 4 other players.
That's true. I think the thing is that Bo Bichette had more votes than even Carlos Correa.
Then
I don't know.
Carlos Correa. No,
honestly,
Carlos Correa. He's literally like the biggest asshole in all of baseball.
It is one of those things like why
2017.
It is one of those things like why are there so many cheaters? Like why are there so many cheaters that got to go to the All-Star game?
Yeah. There's no reason for it.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I mean, like it's hard to aside from like the people that we feel get snubbed. I don't know how you change the All-Star voting to like fix that though, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, another example is Detroit. They had a guy that one of their relief pitchers just like thrown in because they had to get someone in.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Greg.
Who did the Angels get in? Mike Trout, I guess, but he can't play.
No, are you kidding me? It's fucking Shohei Ohtani.
Oh yeah, duh. Dwight. Yeah, they got Shohei and Mike Trout technically.
The guy who's going for a 65 home run year while also throwing a sub-3.
Who did
I sent that guy to the All-Star game.
Who did Oakland get in? It must be one of the first basemen. Who's that?
It's Matt Olson.
Yeah, was it Matt Olson? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, here's the thing: the A's are a good team, and just like us, they only have one player in. I don't know.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: maybe it'll just motivate the Mariners to keep going. What about some other snubs? Do you think I put on?
I'm confused. I'm a little confused about Mike Trout getting it too. Like, yeah, obviously Mike Trout's gonna make the All-Star game, but he's injured.
Well, it's one of those things. So like he's injured, so he doesn't go, and then they replace him with like another outfielder. So like there's like an extra outfielder who will get added to the team.
I don't know that.
Do you think any other Mariners players were snubbed? What do you think about? I put up the names of Haniger and Kendall Graveman. Do you think either of those were snubs?
I was definitely thinking Haniger as well. It's obviously hitting like 20 bombs right now. We just passed the halfway point of the season. Like you think in the past, someone hitting 20 bombs at this point in the season would just go to the All-Star game, but now people are hitting so many home runs that like, motherfucker, there's like 3 dudes hitting 30, like 20 doesn't mean shit.
I kind of think that the reason that Haniger missed the All-Star game is for the same reason that like Yusei got in that one of the outfielder spots was taken up by a Baltimore player, Cedric Mullins. And he's their only guy. So I think it's kind of one of those situations where it's like, because they had to make room for one Baltimore player, Haniger got screwed out of an All-Star berth.
I mean, I guess
it's unfortunate for sure.
I guess I'm really missing on Teoscar Hernandez. Is he really playing that fucking good?
I honestly, let's see.
He's hitting 291 with an OPS of 802.
Oh shit! I mean, 291. That's pretty good.
802 is not even that good. Man, Haniger's hitting like an OPS of like 820, isn't he? Am I crazy? Or is he like 780?
11 home runs. Well, the thing is that he's a starter. That means he was voted for. His nickname is Mr. Seeds. That's kind of hilarious. Okay, Mr. Seeds.
Oh yeah, I guess Mitch is around 780 right now.
Yeah, so he's a starter too, which means that like no matter how good or bad he is, like because he was a starter, it means he was voted to start. So it's like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, no, it is just like complaining about fucking not having a bigger fan base at this point.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah, it'd be nice, but if the Mariners keep doing well, like they'll get it, they'll get there. Like here's the thing, J.P. Crawford, he'll be an all-star at some point. Haniger wouldn't surprise me. Kendall Graveman, I don't know. This is one of those times where it's like, is Kendall Graveman going to have a better year than he's having this year?
I don't know.
I mean, I kind of feel bad for him in that sense. He kind of cost himself in the sense that he missed, 3 weeks because he didn't want to get vaccinated. So it's like, you kind of did it to yourself, kid.
and then his fucking wife went on Twitter and just fucking complained about it. Like, bro, you're keeping yourself out of baseball. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like there are rules that everyone has to follow. So it's like, I don't know. Definitely the most egregious snub as we talked about is Crawford.
I don't know if we talked about that back on that episode, but
we did. We mentioned it.
My least favorite thing of that week.
Yeah,
Graveman's wife's really bad take.
We mentioned it briefly. Yeah, it's pretty ice cold. I don't know. It's rough. All right, moving on. Hopefully next year we get 3 All-Stars, maybe?
You want to talk about the sticky stuff?
Yeah, dude, we got to talk about the sticky stuff, only because we briefly talked about it, right, last week, because it happened in the series, or wait, did it happen? No, it happened in the series last, no, it happened in this week.
Yet. Yep.
Yeah, it happened this week. The Mariners became the first victims of MLB's increased baseball throwing substance enhancement policy. Basically,
needed to happen. I mean, like, okay, not that it needed to happen to the Mariners, but so we haven't done a podcast since that rule passed, and I'm really disappointed that they did this in the middle of the year, like I think a lot of people are, but we're like 8 no-hitters into the season, and I don't want to see another. Like, I know some people really like watching really good pitching, but it's just fucking boring, and the Mariners have been no-hit like 3 times now. And even worse, the Mariners have been no-hit like 3 times now, and I don't know if you saw this, but every single time, the next time those pitchers went out there, they just like gave up like 6 to 8 runs. Like,
yeah.
So
I do think it's kind of funny.
Sticky stuff.
I do think it's kind of funny how all these pitchers, as far as I can tell, the Mariners are basically the only one of the because I can't speak for all of it. The Mariners are one of the only clubs in baseball whose pitchers have not had statistical decreases in the quality of their pitches.
I've noticed that
after this change. So, like, it's one of those things where it's like, and it's so funny too,
which is
because Hector
Santiago is the first person.
Exactly. Hector Santiago. So we didn't say this explicitly, but Hector Santiago, relief pitcher for the Seattle Mariners, journeyman, and now new fan favorite in Seattle, was the first player that got popped for having a sticky substance, and it turns out it seems unlikely at this point that he actually had any illegal sticky substances on his glove. Right. It seems like it was just a mixture of rosin and his own sweat that got attached onto the glove. I don't know.
Understand what totally fucking happened there, because he just appealed it anyways. So there has been no current. Yeah,
he hasn't served his suspension yet.
Yeah, he hasn't served a suspension. And so, like, I don't totally understand what's going on with that.
Well, what's going to happen is that once you appeal, then, like, your suspension is, like, put on hold. Your suspension is suspended, you could say.
Have, like, a little baseball court case? So they're fucking
basically.
His glove somewhere, like, hostage? And he
just, actually, it turns out, I read a tweet today that said that baseball hasn't actually, they are never actually analyzed his glove. So the way it went down is that after he pitched an inning, he had a pretty good outing, and then he was checked by the umpires. What the umpires are doing now is they're checking pitchers pretty much after every inning, and they're checking their hats and their gloves are the main thing they're checking. There's been some, like, theatrics by some of the pitchers, and to me it's just kind of like, you guys are big fucking babies. Like, who was it? Oh, Sergio Romo with the Athletics, who literally, like, took his pants down. God. Like, I'm like, you're a child, dude. And here's the thing. I get why the pitchers are frustrated. In that, this is something that has technically not been allowed, but they've been allowed to do for many, many years, right? And I think that baseball is actually doing the right thing by cracking down on it.
Absolutely.
I think the problem is that what they're considering sticky, too sticky, anything like that is too arbitrary at this point. Because what they're calling it is a foreign substance issue. Like, Hector Santiago is appealing a suspension of having a foreign substance on his glove. And it seems
they give him the rosin bag.
That's exactly my point. Is it seems fairly accepted right now that whatever was on his glove, there was actually no foreign substances, in the sense that it's just a mixture of the rosin bag, which is not a foreign substance, and his sweat. So, like, it's not clear to me what a foreign substance is, because if you can't touch the thing that baseball gives you to touch without potentially creating a sticky substance, like, to me, that's not a foreign substance. That's not a substance you're bringing into the game from outside of the game. I even get, like, people kind of made fun of baseball for this, but originally part of the guidance was that if you mix your sweat, sunscreen, and rosin, it creates a grip enhancer, right? And I kind of get why that should not be permissible, in the sense that, like, if you're doing that, you're intentionally creating a mixed sticky substance. Like, I don't understand, and maybe I guess I didn't understand how rosin and sweat could end up on your glove to make a sticky substance, but it actually kind of, to get back to what I was saying, it seems now that the MLB never actually has officially tested his glove, and they went with the suspension purely based off of the umpire's observation. So they didn't even actually conduct their own investigation, and I don't even know at this point if the glove is ever going to be investigated. Because to me, the way I see it is if it is true that it's just rosin and sweat, I don't understand how that is impermissible.
Yeah, me neither. I don't get it.
I don't understand. And what I will say, this was one of my runner-ups for best thing I saw this week, was when Hector Santiago came out for his next appearance. A few days later, he picked the rosin. He picked the rosin bag up and just yeets it to the ball boy, and it's so funny. Like, umpires frustrate me, but I respect them. I have like a weird relationship with umpires and just referees in general, right? But they went out to him and like tried to find a reason to complain because they felt so upstaged. Yeah. Like, I don't get the ego of umpires.
They're not the main characters.
I don't understand. I do not understand the ego of umpires to, like, who cares if a guy shows you up a little bit, right? Like, why make it so obvious that you're hurt by this?
Okay, can I go back to WWE for a second?
Yeah, go for it.
You've been watching WWE, I've been watching WWE, and one of the fucking best things about WWE is that the refs are not fucking in charge. They're literally just supporting characters. Like, when fucking Roman Reigns just fucking punches the fucking ref in the face and then fucking does whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, or like Paul Heyman distracts the referee and like Roman Reigns gets away with a cheap shot. Yeah, it makes it fun.
Hilarious. Who cares? You're not the main characters. The fucking guys doing the fucking sports shits are clearly the main characters here. Like, it pisses me off. Like, I just want to watch baseball. I don't want to watch fucking umpire ball.
Yeah, and so, like, the fact that after that, like, they literally had nothing to complain about because he didn't do anything wrong. He's allowed to remove the rosin bag, right? But they didn't like him upstaging, so they went out and complained that his glove was too gray.
Yeah. And it's like, what are you going to fucking do? Give me
it's like, glove? Dude, that's what I said is, I don't know if you saw his response, but apparently what he literally told the umpires to their face was like, you guys took my other glove. Apparently supposedly that's what he said to their face, is he's like, you guys took my other glove. What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
You took my glove.
Really fucking dumb. Really stupid.
Oh, fantastic. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Here's what I will say. I don't know if you agree with this. I think what MLB is doing is right in the sense that they should be enforcing a no foreign substance rule for pitchers. I think that that's what they should be doing right now, right?
I think what you're saying is that it needs to be really black and white. And
I realize that it's difficult to be that black and white, but they need a policy that works a little bit better.
Yeah. Absolutely.
This is not something that's been completely flushed out, and you're seeing the problems of it. You're seeing exactly.
It's a Band-Aid fix. Someone was like, "Oh, dude, nobody likes watching these no-hitters. They're getting really fucking boring. We've already seen like 7 or 8 of them. What are we gonna do?" They're like, "All right, let's fucking put a Band-Aid on it, and we'll fix it at the end of the year." So they're gonna fucking change the rules again in the off season, and it's gonna be completely different than what we thought before.
Yeah, for sure. I hope they do. They need to do something to fix this. Like, this is something that's in MLB's court. They need to handle, and I hope they do it. I don't necessarily have a lot of faith. I'm not in the place where a lot of baseball fans are, where they just like complain about Rob Manfred about everything. Like,
yeah,
I don't see that as being the case. Like, I don't really have a problem with Rob Manfred and how baseball is being run, but like this is definitely like not good, right?
No, not
and
good at all.
It kind of sucks. I kind of get the feeling, this is just me putting my tinfoil hat on, I kind of get the feeling that they just went after an innocuous player that just to like make a scene, basically, right. to like make an example of him.
And they did it to the Mariners, who were like a low mid-market team.
Right.
Who, like, they're not going to get a lot of flack for in a fucking rebuild year.
Yeah, it just kind of sucks because then, like... Who the fuck knows? Yeah, it just kind of sucks because, like, the Mariners, until it all kind of came out... And here's the thing, is I don't think most baseball fans actually know what we now know to be like the truth, and I'm doing that in air quotes because we don't know the full truth, right? But what our understanding of the situation is now, I don't think most baseball players know that. All they know is that the Mariners got popped. Like, look at those sucky baseball players. They're cheaters and they can't even win, right? So it's like, that's what kind of sucks to me, is it's just like, I get that I knew that this was going to happen, that baseball wanted to make an example of someone. It sucks being a Mariners fan that we had to be the team that got the book thrown at them because
I get what you're saying.
They had to enforce it on someone.
It sucks as one of those things where it's like, the Mariners have been getting picked on. I'm gonna say.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It just feels like we're picked on a little bit, right?
3 or 4 years now. First the Robinson Cano thing happens. Then we go into full rebuild mode, and everyone's like, Mariners still not making the fucking playoffs.
Well, and that's the problem too, is that the Mariners do have a history of like using PEDs, right, between Robinson Cano and what, Jesus Montero. Right. And like, so we have a history too, so that's like another thing that feeds into it, is that we're trying to like create a different culture here, but then MLB's coming in here and like making, like, here's the thing. If Jacob deGrom actually like went out there with spider tack, or like Garrett Cole, say Garrett Cole went out there and just used spider tack the next day and was just like, screw you guys. What are they gonna do? Get rid of him? You think they would actually punish Garrett Cole? No.
I don't think so. No way.
I don't think so. Maybe this is just me with my tinfoil hat on. I do not believe that if a big star actually was like, screw you, I'm going to use spider tack, that baseball would do anything about it. They wanted to make an example of a low-level player on a low-level team.
Like you're saying, $40 million man. You're just gonna, so someone under a $40 million contract, you're just gonna get rid of him, and then you're gonna fucking insult the biggest fucking franchise and the biggest fan base in all of baseball. No, those fucking umps are not staying around that much longer if you fucking do that. So they're gonna fucking upstage the fucking Mariners, who like are already the fucking laughingstock of all of fucking baseball.
Yeah, I know. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it went down. I really hope. I'm not optimistic, but I think it would be really good if Hector Santiago, his appeal is successful.
Yeah.
But I don't feel good about it. I feel like we're just gonna get screwed again.
Yeah, me too.
And it sucks too. And then, like, dude, respect to Hector Santiago. He came out that next day, overly exaggerated the fact that he had no sticky stuff, and absolutely lit up the team, the Rangers that in that outing. He dominated them. So like respect to Hector Santiago, man. Like to like have someone accuse you like that, and then you just come out and just emphatically prove them wrong and be like, clearly I do not have a sticky stuff issue. I just came out here and just absolutely lit this team up.
Okay, so that feels like pretty much the end of our sticky stuff conversation.
Yes.
I see that next you wanted to talk about Marco. Do we have to? I don't really have anything I want to say about it. It's
I just want to
fans being super toxic.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, just because I think that we're like to me, right now we kind of have like the what is it? The persona of like the positive fan podcast. Yeah. And so it's one of those things that I just like if you're the kind of person that was like, I think it's fine. If you were disappointed that Marco had a rough outing. So, like, to give the whole context, Marco had a really bad outing his first time back after having a kid, and gave up 7 runs in only like 3 or 4 innings, whatever it was. Super short outing. The Mariners lost that game, honestly, almost single-handedly because of Marco. And he didn't get unlucky. He was literally just throwing fastballs down the middle of the plate and getting brutalized by the Texas Rangers. And then what happened, as the internet tends to do, and anonymity allows, people like started making personal attacks about Marco and his like new kid and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's just like messed up. I mean, we obviously don't have a lot to say here, but I think we should at least say like we're freaking we're Team Marco here. Like. Yep. Guys are going to have bad outings. And this is one of the things that I think... I don't know if you've experienced this a lot, but, like, talking to, people, even some people in our family, they can be, like, very negative about the Mariners, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's just, like people are going to have bad outings. Like, you play 162 games. Like, how many games does that mean Marco's going to pitch in a year? Like, he's going to pitch... I don't know. What's the math on it? Yeah, 30 some games?
Well, less this year with the 6 rotation.
Yeah, so he's
going
to
pitch like 27, 28 games.
Yeah, he's going to pitch 28 games. And, like, here's the thing. He's obviously had a bad year. He's missed a lot of starts. He hasn't pitched super well this year. But that doesn't change the fact that over the last 3 years, Marco has been one of the best pitchers in the American League. So, like, I don't know. Like, people need to learn how to, like, cut some people some slack and, like, cut the Mariners some slack. Like, the Mariners have been a bad franchise for a long time. But there's legitimate reason and to believe that
they're going to be good soon.
Yeah, that there's at least something to root for, right? Because there's been a lot of seasons the last 10 years. There's been a lot of seasons where there's just been nothing to root for, right? And it seems that at bare minimum what the Mariners are going to do is give us a team to root for at least 150 games.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's just like, I don't know, just like people need to not be so toxic. And like if someone has a bad outing, there's a reason that we play. I think it's one thing like and to me this is like a bleed over of like football fans and basketball fans. Because in those sports, if you have especially in football, if a quarterback has a bad game, that's absolutely devastating, right? That's 1 out of 17 games that they play in a season.
Yeah.
But in baseball, like guys are gonna have bad games. Like how many times a night and obviously pitchers are so amplified. And I don't want to talk about this in the sense that like don't be mean to Marco because that's not what we're saying. We were obviously like Team Marco. I love Marco. I think you respect Marco. Like don't bring his family into it. And honestly, I think if a player has a bad game in baseball, who cares?
Yeah.
Right? If they have 3 bad games in a row, like they could still be an all-star. Look at J.P. Crawford. J.P. Crawford, like I said, is the king of Seattle right now, and he had a terrible first month of the season.
Even better than J.P. Crawford, look at Jared Kelenic. You can just have a bad month and then go fucking have success in the minors. Like
exactly
what happens. Like the jury is still not out on Kelenic and whether or not he's gonna be a good or bad player, but like we're not just fucking attacking him for having a bad month. Yeah, Marco's had a bad fucking month or two of baseball this year, which is really all we've fucking seen him for. But just because he has a bigger contract, which, guess what? 5 years, $30 million, really fucking good for the franchise.
Yeah, it's still a great deal for the franchise.
Why the fuck are we complaining about that? I mean, like,
Marco has already been worth every penny he's been paid.
How I like to see it and how I like to say it is you judge a player based off their contract. Like, if we're gonna fucking mash on someone who's like fucking Chris Davis levels fucking crashing, fucking make fun of him. But Marco, who's getting paid, $2 million this year to perform poorly, that's fine. That's fine.
And he's been a stud the last 3 years with us.
Right, exactly. We've literally like made more than what we bargained for in the last couple of years. And that's actually why I have been so critical of guys like Yusei and less so with Marco. Like Yusei in a fucking $15 million contract last year. But Marco in a $1 million contract. So seeing him completely outperform Yusei is just like fucking annoying, I guess, to me.
Yeah, I think you've pretty much said it perfectly. I mean, when it comes down to it, it's not that I'm not going to like convince anyone to be less toxic on the internet. But I think when it comes to being a baseball fan, and I don't want to like put us on a pedestal or anything, like, but I think we have a generally good approach. Like we take it week to week. We have fun with it. We try and remember the good stuff, forget the bad stuff. And it's like, it's baseball, dude. You play 162 of these. If you are living, I follow, I don't think you follow them at all, but I follow like Barstool Sports a little bit. And they have this one guy named Frank the Tank who's a Mets fan. And he literally lives and dies inning by inning with the Mets. If you are watching... I mean... Here's the thing, though. I just want to say, let me finish. If you are watching baseball like that, if you are living and dying inning to inning, you are not going to be able to last as a baseball fan. You have to learn to just like not sweat the small stuff, and by the small stuff, I mean individual game results. Right? Like take it in chunks, bigger chunks. Like assess how you feel about something over a month, or over 3 months, or over half a season, or over a whole season. But if you are living and dying, inning to inning, day to day with these guys, you are gonna have. There's not a single team in baseball that's gonna make you happy. I mean, look at Yankees fans right now. They have a team that's over 500, that's in the hunt for the playoffs, And they are literally acting like this is the worst team they've ever seen play baseball. Because they are living and dying day to day with this team. Like, you cannot be a baseball fan like that. That's me on my soapbox, just being like, I'm not going to like tell people to not be trolls and to whatever. Like, people know that they shouldn't do that, and if no one's going to like change listening to me. But if there is anyone that's like doesn't get the difference between baseball and like football, for example, you just gotta chill. Like, this is a chill game. Baseball is a very chill game. If someone goes 0 for 4, there's a good chance that they're going to go 3 for 4 the next night, right? Because everything just happens to come back to the mean. Everything balances itself out statistically. If Marco has a terrible first half of the season, there's a good chance that he's going to have a really good second half of the season, because everything tends to balance itself out. Everything regresses to the mean. Everything comes back to the mean. And I don't know. That's me on my soapbox. Like, if there's anyone that doesn't know and doesn't understand that aspect about baseball, like, I think that's one little bit of wisdom I wish I could impart on sports fans.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree. Coming from emotions?
Yeah, so this one's pretty short. There was a interview with Jerry DiPoto on 710, and he mentioned that it's very likely that we're going to be seeing Jarred Kelenic back up soon and Cal Raleigh up soon. And then also he said some potential other starters coming up pretty soon. Not necessarily starters, but some arms that we're going to see out of the pretty strong minor league staff. So I'm pretty excited. I definitely am excited to see Kelenic give it another go. We've talked about this at length, so I kind of want to just forget about that. The person I'm most interested in talking about is Cal Raleigh. Are you worried that if they brought him up this year, you're going to get like Zunino flashbacks?
No, because one, he doesn't have as bad of matchups considering he's a switch hitter.
Okay.
2, he's not profiled as a defensive catcher like Mike Zunino was.
Yeah, he is. I will say this: he is dominating AAA like pretty much no one else is.
Yeah.
He's currently slashing 319, 376, 596, 8 homers and 20 doubles in Tacoma. Like Cal Raleigh is
really, really cool.
Dominating Pacific Coast League right now.
Better bat in the catcher spot. Like Luis Torrens, really playing out of his fucking mind right now. Tom Murphy's having a really fucking rough year. The Mariners really need a long-term solution to catcher, and seeing Cal Raleigh post results that he has is really enticing, I'm gonna say.
Okay, so just to get kind of like a basic like thought out of you then. So like yes or no, are you worried about them potentially promoting Cal Raleigh too soon? If he comes up within the next like 2 months?
I don't really think there is a too soon to promote somebody.
Okay.
Cal Raleigh is a couple of years older than Jarred Kelenic. I think if we weren't worried that Jarred Kelenic was going to call it too early, it's like fucking ridiculous to say anything about that. And there's also guys that come up really early like Juan Soto or Vladimir Guerrero Jr. or Ronald Acuna Jr. who just like come up as 20, 21, 22-year-olds and just fucking mash the cover off the baseball. Like it's not. You're you're seeing how they're gonna play at a higher level. Like you can just send someone up and then send them back down. Like it's not gonna be the end of the fucking world if they're not ready, right? Like
okay.
The first time they come up, you're literally just testing the waters, is what I'm gonna say.
I think that's a very level-headed approach to it. I appreciate that. So you're kind of saying that just like bring him up, see what happens. If it doesn't work out, send him back down, and he'll work on stuff. I do think there is part of it where I see that, like, because he kind of has a similar number of like at bats as Kelenic did, and obviously he came up and had his struggles, right? Nothing that we can't imagine he won't get over, but I guess I appreciate that. I appreciate the perspective that you're not really worried that even if he comes up and does poorly, that's something that is going to ruin him or anything.
And he's a switch hitter. Like he's never going to have a bad matchup at the plate. And is that something that the Mariners really need? Because obviously they're really right-handed bat heavy still.
So I don't really know Is he like a true switch hitter, or is he someone that's like
I don't know.
Is really good on one side and questionable on the other side?
I have no idea, but considering switch hitter hitting for high average isn't really normal.
That's
unless
true.
They're like a true switch hitter.
Okay, that makes sense. I see what you're saying there. Okay, I agree. I think the last thing of note, nothing else to really say about it in terms of prospects, but the futures rosters came out. We do have 3 guys that are going to be going to the futures games. Although it seems like one of the pitchers, Emerson Hancock, it seems like he's not going to be able to go because of potentially injury concerns or like inning issues. But at least
workload concerns.
Yeah, workload concerns. So at least Julio Rodriguez and Jared Kelenic are both going to be on the futures team. I think that's pretty awesome. I think I saw something that we have 4 of the top 25 prospects in baseball right now.
No, I thought it was 5. I thought it was Julio, Jared Kelenic, Noel Marte, Emerson Hancock, and
I think it's actually George Kirby. I think it's actually George Kirby, and Emerson Hancock is just like barely out of like the top 25 or 30.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. So we actually have like 5 in the top 50, but we have 4 in the top 25 or top 30, something like that. So that's pretty awesome.
That's really promising. I think the Mariners really need to find more at home, good starting pitching, home cooking, right?
Yeah.
And considering how many of our top draft picks we've used towards that in the last couple of years, it's really promising that they look to be working out so far, especially with the absolute fucking failing that is fucking Justice Sheffield this year, and the just complete lack of consistency that is Justin Dunn.
I actually want to see where's the game at right now. I haven't even looked at it in the last
really
45
bad.
minutes. Ooh, 8-0. Yeah. Justice Sheffield. I was kind of gonna save this for next week, but so just kind of to preview next week. Justice Sheffield, tough season for him, right?
Really tough season.
I mean, we'll talk about it more next week, I think, but Justice Sheffield is definitely someone I think we're gonna have to look at in depth pretty soon here, just because we haven't really talked about him at all. I do want to talk about, though, Luis Torrens, because what a resurgence, dude. We talked about how positive we are, but to some extent we're realistic, right? And I was definitely one of those people that was earlier in the season, before Luis Torrens was sent down, being like, how is this dude a major leaguer? Because to be fair, earlier in the season, he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. He couldn't catch the ball to save his life. He was just statistically one of the worst defensive catchers in baseball, one of the worst offensive catchers in baseball. The fact that he has come back and brought his bat back to life, and we knew he could hit, right? We saw him after the trade in the second half of last year for about 20 games or so.
Yeah.
We saw that he was a legit hitter. To see him come back like this and just be hitting bombs, I think there was one point in this in this last week where we had hit 4 or 5 home runs in a row out of the 9th spot, and Luis Torrens was 2 of them or something like that. Home runs in games in a row. So there was 4 games in a row that we had hit home runs out of the 9th spot in the batting order.
Yeah.
And Luis Torrens has just been so awesome. It's just one of those things that's I guess for me it really kind of highlights. And this is something that we can again talk about in depth maybe towards the end of the season, how good our developmental team is in the minor leagues. Led by Andy McKay, I think is the director of farm development for the Mariners. It used to be that it was just a wasteland, right? I'm thinking under the Jack Sorensic regime when he was GM and in charge of the organization, we just never developed any good talent. I think literally under that regime, Kyle Seager is the only MLB quality talent that was ever really developed out of that, right?
So as far as I understand, it is kind of skewed by the fact that the majority of our top draft picks were traded away over the course of those years. So it's not something that you can really just be they can't find anyone good, and they can't develop them. It's more they were using the top draft picks to bring in guys
to make bad trades.
And make bad trades.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's when I see someone like Luis Torrens go down, and then come back up and succeed, and you see Jared Kelenic go down, and he's automatically
Oh man, I got distracted there.
getting good again. It's just one of those things where it's like I really want to recognize, like, it seems like we have a very high quality player development staff down at the minor league level.
Right,
and
absolutely. I
think it's awesome.
I think it's one of those things I think that sort of people in charge of the management in those minor league organizations really get amplified, good or bad, based off the talent they have there. And because the Mariners have really taken steps to really revamp the minor league system and try to put young talent in the lower spots of the organization, it really is just starting to shine when they're with good people, right? But
I think it's awesome. And it's also good. Oh, yeah, what were you saying?
Sorry, I did just want to say, just because I got distracted earlier when we were talking about that other thing, that I love Luis Torrens. I was really disappointed with him early in the season. I don't know if I said anything too harsh about him in one of our previous podcasts or anything, but I do remember
I think we were generous. I think we handled Luis Torrens with a lot of grace because we knew.
Right.
I don't know. There might be receipts out there that are worse, but we might have negative receipts against us. But
we both have a couple good things to say about him, and I am surprised about his power a little bit. From last year, we saw him as mostly like a single double guy.
Yeah, lots of doubles, right?
Where his power's coming from, but I like his bat. I really liked it last year. Going into the season, I wasn't concerned at all about Kyle Raleigh, just because I was like, man, if we're stuck with Tom Murphy and Luis Torrens for the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, like it'll be fine, right? Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. Honestly, though, if you can get all three, like, especially with the amount of injuries that come with if we have 3 really good catchers, that does open us up to potentially doing like another trade where we traded away. What was his name? The catcher that's now with the White Sox. Or no, he's with the Brewers now.
Grandal?
No, because Grandal's with the White Sox.
Omar Narvaez.
Yeah, Narvaez. It gives us the option to potentially like trade Torrens or trade Tom Murphy,
right? Absolutely.
To get another piece that we need, right? So,
absolutely,
it's pretty dope.
But it's just one of those things, and we're in modern baseball. Don't fucking kid yourself. Your catcher is not the best fucking hitter on your team. So to see a catcher that can hit and frame the baseball pretty well is pretty cool. You love to see it. As soon as you find one of those guys, like everybody else feels like to me is like your backup guy.
Yeah, I'm just so happy for Luis Torrens because I can only imagine when you have a start to the season as terrible as he had, and then you're sent down. I can imagine the thought crossing your mind, like, am I ever going to be a major leaguer again?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so for him to like really earn it and work with the player development staff down at the minor leagues to earn his way back onto the squad, and then to like show the development that he's had with his bat. Like, it's like you said, last year he was a double guy. Like he was just hitting doubles, right? Now he's brought some power to the game, and which is really great for us because that seems to be how we get a lot of our work done is in the power game. So if you can add on the fact that, you know, Kyle Seager, Mitch Haniger, all those other guys hit a lot of home runs, add that into the bottom of the order, all of a sudden we become a threat 1 through 9, and those are the teams that win championships. The teams that I hate to face when I'm playing MLB The Show are the ones where you get to the 7th, 8th, and 9th batters, and you're like, holy heck, why are these guys, you know, it's like, who's a good team that had that I was playing against recently? San Diego.
The Dodgers, San Diego,
yeah. The Dodgers. I was playing against San Diego. I think I lost my first series of the season on MLB The Show playing against San Diego.
They just don't have a bad batter?
Yes, because they're just stacked 1 through 9. Like, I want to be that team, so I'm so happy to see Luis Torrens be able to bounce back from, you know, being sent down to coming back and being like, hey, I'm here to be a threat.
So I
love
did
that.
want to bring up, I've noticed this over the last couple weeks, I almost wanted to bring it up last podcast, that the 9 spot in the Mariners rotation or lineup right now is just magic. Like, whoever the fuck is in that 9 hole, they just have a fantastic fucking game almost every day.
Yeah. Which is awesome because they get on base and then turn the lineup over to J.B. Crawford and Mitch Haniger and Kyle Seager and Ty France. It's like, the 9th guy gets on and then all of a sudden JP's up and I just imagine as a pitcher, when you give up a hit to that ninth
disheartening.
guy and J.P. Crawford comes up, you're just like, I want to die.
Yeah, it's fucking murder.
Yeah, just because JP's just been so good. I love it. All right, last topic, Nick. We've had a lot to talk about here. We got one last thing. I don't know how much we have to say about this, but I do think it's interesting just because we kind of, saw this and it almost felt like a meme prior to us starting our little broadcast here, is MLB Network did their rankings of the top 9 managers right now, and your Seattle Mariners manager, Scott Service, is currently considered the second best manager in all of baseball.
Okay, I do have some thoughts on this, and you might just have to let me talk for a second.
Okay.
And it's the 2 main points for me. Holy fuck, MLB will figure out any fucking way to discredit the Mariners team, or like the actual players.
Okay.
So it's almost like the MLB writers and the MLB script writers for the show were like, how the fuck are the Mariners over 500 right now? It can't be because they're good. It has to be just because the fucking manager is just throwing fucking... He's just like, monkey's paw, let me win today. Wish granted. and then like, my second point that I do want to make, and this might be kind of counter to my first point, is that I don't think Scott Service is as bad as Mariners fans think he is.
I agree with that. 100%.
I do think his managing this year has been pretty good, and I do like the moves he's made when he was like, fuck it, put Haniger in the leadoff spot, and then Haniger had a fantastic year, and then Haniger cooled off, and then immediately he was like, well, who's starting to break out? J.P. Crawford, put him on the top. I think he's done a really, 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 really good job of identifying which bats are hot right now and putting them next to each other in the lineup, which is literally the job of the manager. So actually, I do think he is having a fantastic year from a managerial perspective. And then obviously a lot of the moves the GM makes aren't fucking up to him at all. Like, he doesn't get to choose who's actually on the roster. He just chooses where to put them, right?
Yeah, especially because he's kind of been critiqued for being a Dipoto puppet to some extent, right? So
absolutely. But I will say I am very skeptical of exactly what the fuck he was going for with Kelenic. Like, they brought him up and they immediately, first day, put him in the number 1 hole.
Well, I think it was the second day.
No, it was the first day.
I'm pretty sure I'm almost certain his first start, he was like
Abby, I was
7th
at
or
that
8th.
game. I was at that game, Jake.
Are you sure? I do not think he was leading off his very first game.
No, he led off his very first game. And it was
I don't
stupid.
believe that. I don't believe that.
Jake, I was in the stadium.
Are you sure it was the first game?
That was the first game! Okay.
I want to say this.
Kelenic, he led off his first game, and it didn't make any sense because they were facing a guy. They were facing a really good pitcher, and I thought it was just like one of those, like, let's fucking hype Jared Kelenic, let's put him in the front and hope he has really good games. He didn't.
Yeah.
He went 0 for 4, and it started one of the worst fucking cold streaks I've ever seen in baseball.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. Like, let the guy sit in the fucking... And then even when he started to play bad, because he was getting bad results, kept him in the fucking 1 hole. So that dude immediately got to the fucking ballpark, and just struck out or grounded out to the fucking infield. And then he sat there for the next 8 batters and thought to himself, why the fuck did that happen? That fucking sucked. That was a shitty result. When you could put him in like the 7, 8, or 9 spot where he gets to fucking watch the pitcher for 2 innings or 1 inning, and then he's like, oh, yep, I know exactly what I do, and I'm going to get to the fucking plate because I know exactly what this guy's trying to do today, right?
Yeah.
Which is the benefit of being the 7, 8, 9 guy, right?
Yeah. I will say this. I want to echo some of what you said. I really agree with what you said about his lineup management. I very much respect the fact that Scott Service is willing to tinker with his lineup, and that he does seem to have a good job of identifying who's putting together good at bats and putting them in the right spot in the lineup. I think that's probably his strongest asset. I think it's helped out a little bit by the fact that we don't have a lot of like stalwart veterans on the team, because it's one of those things like back when we had Cano and Nelson Cruz on the team, you couldn't take them out of like the 3 and 4 spots, even if they were scuffling, right?
Because they're the stars. Absolutely.
Yes, because they're like locked into those spots. So I think it helps Scott that he doesn't have the personnel where any player is locked into a spot, except for probably like Kyle Seager.
That's what I'm going to say. That is exactly the one criticism I really have of him this season, is that Kyle Seager is really locked into this fucking 3-hole. I don't know if you've seen his average and his fucking OPS.
No, they're down, but I respect it.
There's no reason for Kyle to not be in like the 5 or 6 spot.
I respect it for the sense that like Kyle is he's a veteran and he's pretty clutch.
Yeah,
like yes,
that's true.
Yes, he is batting like 220 or something like that, but his batting average, I believe, with runners on, is better. So
it's really, really high.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it that he is locked in him. And realistically, Kyle is a better 4-hole hitter. Like, he's more prototypical as a 4-hole hitter. But because of the Kyle Lewis injury, you had to bump him up a spot. I mean, you didn't have to, but he decided to have bumped him up a spot. I think the 3-hole suits Kyle less. I think it'd be better if he was in the 4th hole in batting cleanup. But I want to echo the fact that I think Scott Service's lineup management is very good. I kind of think he's maybe gotten a little lucky with bullpen management in the sense that, and maybe he's just a savant. Maybe he's just a baseball savant. And he's done this. Scott Service has done this every year. He's been the Mariners manager. He has like 3 relief pitchers that he's obsessed with and overworks them to the bone. And it just turns out this year that he's gotten really lucky with the ones he chose. But some of them are not even at the major league level anymore because he overworked them so much. I'm talking about like a Will Vest. Someone that, like, Will Vest was a Rule 5 pick, very good for us at the beginning of the year, was Scott's like go-to guy. He's literally putting him in every single ball game, and now he's down at the minors.
Is he even on the team anymore? How can he be in the minors if he's a Rule 5 guy? Rule 5 guys. No, I think he's injured.
I think he was injured. Yeah, he's injured. Yeah. But yeah, I think partially have to be on the not to blame Scott, but partially because he kind of overworked him at the beginning of the year. I mean, also guys that you wouldn't think would be great bullpen guys like Drew Steckenrider, Paul Sewald. Scott has really rode those guys hard, and like I kind of think in the past it has hurt him, but this year it's worked out for him, right?
I think it is worth pointing out that has to be some sort of baseball intuition thing for him, because obviously,
hopefully, he's been wrong a lot of other years though.
Well, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. But he is a career catcher, and so like when he like identifies that a pitcher is good, it's easier for him because
hopefully
he's caught a lot of fucking really good fucking pitchers in his fucking years, right?
I mean, I would say
there's a reason that he was like a 12-year vet in the majors.
Yeah, I mean, I will say to his credit, this year he's been right. So I think when it comes down to it, do we think that Scott Service is the second best manager in baseball?
Sure. I don't know.
My instinct is no. My instinct is no. But I do appreciate the fact that like he's getting some respect because I think this is his best performance as a manager.
Absolutely.
I will say this.
And I think you're right. I do think my instinct is also no as well, and that's why I immediately brought up like, why the fuck are they discrediting the Mariners players like this?
Yeah, I didn't expect that from you, but it was very impassioned. I liked it.
Yeah.
All right. That was.
Let me from Scott though.
That's true. That's true. All right. I think that's gonna be it for us. Oh wait, our MVP. We can finish this up. Are you taking JP? Or are you taking? I'm taking JP. Do you want JP for your MVP?
I want Luis Torrens. We were talking about how he had a great week.
Okay, yeah, dude. Okay, so we've already talked enough about them. My MVP this week, he gets my award. JP Crawford.
I might never get to choose Luis again.
That's a fair point. Nick is going with Luis Torrens. I think those are 2 fantastic picks. Mariners are playing great right now.
Wait, no, we already did MVPs, and I picked Jake Fraley. Wait.
No, that was the best thing we saw. You said the best thing you saw was Jake Fraley.
Oh. Yeah, I'll choose Luis Torrens.
All right, Luis Torrens. That's cool. That's gonna be it. That's the podcast. We don't have anything else to say about them, so that's gonna be it. This was a long one, but I think it was a fun one. We had a lot to talk about. We covered a lot of things. I had a really good time. I think, Nick, did you have a good time?
Yeah, man, a lot of rambling, a lot of fun.
Hopefully the fans had a good time.
We'll be back with Fast and the Furious and WWE.
Yeah, we'll be back with our WWE updates next week. Next week, though, in all seriousness, next week is going to be one of our favorite episodes of the season. It's when we do our mid-year tier list. We tier rank every player on the Mariners roster. It's super fun. At least for me personally, I don't know how you feel, Nick. It's one of my favorite episodes we do every year is when we do these tier ranking lists. I think they're super fun. They generally end up being kind of long, which is cool.
They're really long, but I will say you always get what you want when we do these tier lists. And it's only because you're the guy at the keyboard.
I think what will happen is we'll just make our own separate tier lists, and we'll just put them out. We don't need a unified one. We'll just each do our own. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
All right. Dude, okay, this week we face the Yankees and then Angels, and then we go into the All-Star break?
Sure, that sounds right. Got to finish up the series against the Dodgers. The Yankees first.
Yeah, Yankees, Angels, then All-Star break. That's awesome. I'm excited. All right. You know what? Shout out to Yusei. Hope he does great at the All-Star game. I'm expecting an immaculate inning, and I'll be satisfied with nothing less.
If they didn't put him in, I don't think he's going to start.
He'll play. Don't be a hater. He'll play.
Yeah,
Damn,
okay.
Don't be a hater, dude. He'll get in like the 8th inning.
Okay, but I'm almost certain that it's Joe Madden as the manager, and he's already said he's starting. He's starting Shohei, and Shohei's also the DH. So
that's fine. Well, yeah, Shohei will go like 3 innings, and then it'll be 2 innings for the next guy, and then they'll do like 1-1-1, 1-1. I don't know if that's too many. I don't know, 4 innings. I don't know.
Baseball rules would mean that the rest of those pitchers would have to bat. Do you think they're just going to continue to let Shohei bat the entire time after they pull him pitching?
No, they'll put someone else in. I think they'll just move into like a pitcher in the spot, and then they'll just pinch hit for the pitcher each time.
Yeah, that's what I assumed.
Because they never let anyone bat the whole game. Like they'll pull Shohei after like two at bats.
That's true. Yeah, dude. I'll be honest with you. I think the All-Star game fucking sucks.
What about the Home Run Derby though?
I don't really like either of them. I don't think I've ever watched the Home Run Derby.
Nick officially on the card as anti-All-Star Weekend.
Yeah, it fucking blows. Just let me watch regular baseball.
Yeah, Nick says give me more Mariners.
I don't want to watch show ball. Give me Mariners.
I think that's a good way to end it. Give us more Mariners. Go M's.
Go M's.
There's a drive, deep right field, say goodbye. Hey, Lloyd, do some delivery for the truck to the airport.